live music? Like, let's go.
I'll be here. There's nothing else going around going on that time of day.
Well, I was gonna say, if it's nice out, like, are you busy in the morning? I haven't been up yet.
Oh, I'll take you up.
I know.
Yeah,
and I work
as long as the weather's decent.
Yeah. I have to be at the store at like 10:45, but I'm not doing anything in the morning. So yeah, if it's nice, I'll let you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Check on the weather.
I'm
I used
excited.
to drive 5 miles down the Hanover Airport on my bicycle through the swamps to see airplanes, watch them take off,
Yeah.
and see if I could work on one and help a guy push one or something, touch it. You know,
Yeah.
it was amazing. I got the sickness a long time ago.
Is that what it's called, the sickness?
Yeah.
How did you get the sickness, Jeff?
So I went with Darren when we were kids, 17 years old.
Yeah.
In New Jersey.
So my friend Darren in New Jersey, he got his pilot's license as soon as he could.
Yeah.
And we flew to Block Island. We flew all over the East Coast there.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But then I'm like, this isn't in the cards for me. I can't afford to fly.
Yeah.
And life went on. Got a job and
Elite.
worked for years.
Yeah.
And then my son, I said, I think I want to fly as for a career.
Oh, so Luke kind of
Yeah. And then I says, well,
cool.
Probably got inspired by Darren, huh?
and yeah, Darren took him up too.
Oh, cool.
And I said, well, if you're going to fly, it's going to be as a career.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford to make it a hobby for you. I can do it as a hobby for me, but not for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Darren said, well, let's go buy this little plane.
Yeah.
And so we split this plane and started flying it and just loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And
Your first airplane is always magical
Oh,
because you
it
don't have
was-
to rent it from a place and be back at a certain time. You just,
No.
the freedom of getting into your own airplane and flying it where you wanted to go and coming back when you wanted to.
Well, I'm guessing it's like when you get your first car. Like, I thought
Yeah,
it was magic.
it is.
Just
Yeah.
like that.
Believe it.
It
It's
is.
like that, but on steroids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
should never have Olive get addicted to this, is what you're saying.
I took Gwyneth up and I thought she was getting, and even had her fly around for a
Oh,
little
no.
bit. And
Jeremy's
I
like,
think she was getting
thanks.
hooked a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. So yeah, I guess we have to go back to all the stuff I missed. Apparently, Steve is trying to keep some secrets from me about his past.
No secrets.
No, I'm just bugging you. No, but I think for you, though, it's like there's so much. Like, there's so much that has happened to you that you're just like, whatever. And then friends like Jeff are like, wait, you need to
he is the least boring guy I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like, no, he really is. And
Yeah.
just the history and the stories he has
Yeah.
are
Well,
just amazing.
Yeah.
someone said, if your life was a book, would anybody want to read it? You know.
Yeah.
But I didn't approach things like that. I just did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, I don't think you should live your life thinking about, okay, this is going to be a great story for my book.
No,
I'm going to
you
make
can't
No, because I think
Just
that's a
all-
lot of
That's
today is a
artificial.
lot. That's a lot of the Instagram kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they do stuff
Lots of forced.
just to put on Instagram without ever even really living it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just to get it on
It's all
Instagram and see how many
surface and
likes they can get. Or,
It's
Yeah.
contrived. It's
Yeah.
structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Document it later. Like right now.
Yeah.
This is when you document it.
Yep.
Not while you're going through it.
No.
Yeah. 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 I agree.
Well, Darren and I, we all grew up in northern New Jersey, and Darren flew out of the same airport as I did 30 years after me.
Oh, so did you know Darren too?
No, I didn't know him, but
Oh,
I
okay.
knew that Pete Billows, who owned Trinca Airport, was his last student, and he was my friend, and I came back from Florida when I first went down to college there, And I'd rent a J3 Cub from him for $15 an hour.
Another part that I thought was missing on the initial was you didn't talk about how you were a walk-on Miami football player.
Oh, yeah.
No, you weren't. Miami Dolphins?
No,
University of Miami.
Oh, University of Miami. Oh.
I was a walk-on there.
What does that mean, a walk-on?
I was the only walk-on they had.
Well, you weren't recruited or
I wasn't recruited,
signed on.
yeah.
You literally walked to the field to try out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they accepted you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I got my head handed to me.
Did you plan about the games?
I decided I was going to Miami-Dade Junior College, and I transferred to the University of Miami. I thought, I could do this. I could play defensive end, So I worked out with the team, and I went to spring football. But before that, I had gotten my private pilot's license at Opelika Airport and a multi-engine rating, and I was having a good time flying. And then going to spring football, it was hard and it was violent, and I got bad headaches. Couldn't take the impact so much. So I decided that I was going to go and fly instead of get my head beat in and playing football,
Yeah.
I could have stayed around there. All I had to do was hang around because I could play, but didn't want to put in the time or the pain.
Yeah. What position did you play?
Defensive end. And there was another thing. There was a guy there playing defensive end. His name was Ted Hendricks. He was an All-American, and he went on to play for the Raiders and he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Wow.
I'd never get to play because he was that good,
Oh, okay.
So I'd always be behind him.
Yeah.
And it's funny, in University of Miami at that time, they had one black player.
Oh.
It was 1968. One black player. His name was Bellamy, and they used to send him over the middle and get creamed all the time.
Oh.
Jesus Christ, it was terrible. It was a white Jewish school,
So you realized right away, this is not this is not for me. Yeah.
Later on, they became a powerhouse and won national championships, but they had to bring in the other players.
Well, I remember when I was in high school in the 90s, it was University of Miami was like the big dog of football.
They were a giant powerhouse. When I was with them, they were not. They were not. But we played. I remember we played Northwestern, and we played USC 1 year where O.J. Simpson was still playing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they beat us. But I remember the other defensive end on the other side. His name was Tony Klein. He grabbed O.J. Simpson coming around the corner, tore his shoulder right out of socket. He was a great player. O.J. Simpson wasn't much of a human being afterwards, but he could play.
Now, was this before you were a teacher or after?
Oh, I left Miami and switched schools and came out to Arizona State.
And that's where you got your education.
And I got a degree in secondary education out there because I was late getting out there. I went to Woodstock.
And you were with a girl.
I went to Woodstock. My girlfriend was a barrel racer. She was going out to Arizona, and I went and said,
Didn't you say sign me up for something?
Sign me up for something. I don't know what it is. I'm late getting to school because I bought my first airplane and I built a trailer for it.
Yeah.
Hooked it up to my hippie van after
I remember
Woodstock. And I'm headed to Arizona, where I thought it was halfway across the country. 4 days later, I'm still not there. And it's almost to California. I didn't go to California. I thought it was too far to go.
My buddy Al that I met in Korea, he's definitely going to be on my podcast. He's been to Woodstock too.
Really?
I'm going to have two guys who have been to Woodstock. Yeah. Super excited. Yeah. Do you remember much from Woodstock?
No, there wasn't.
What stands out the most?
It was just a bunch of pot smokers having a good time.
Yeah.
Traffic jams. I never even got close to the stage.
Oh, really?
I went with my college roommate, Pete Manning. Remember Pete? Mm-hmm. Preston? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Him and I went there.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
Came back, and it was funny. Bill McCarroll's father talked about all the dirty hippies that were there, you know. And it was quite a time. The summer of '68, I guess, wasn't it, or something like that?
69?
69.
I think it was 69.
Yeah.
Because I think the 30-year anniversary was 99.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe the 25th was 94 or something like that.
Remember the guy that was on the boat?
Oh yeah, we
He
used
was
to have our 4th of July celebration on our boat, and there was a guy in our
Young
marina
was.
that played the guitar, and he was from New Hampshire, and his first concert that he ever went to, he met a guy on a seawall in New Hampshire, which has a 5-mile coastline, and it turned out to be. I can't remember the guy's name, but the first concert he ever
Steve.
played was, Steve was.
Loudmouth Steve.
Yeah. The first concert he ever played was Woodstock.
What?
Yeah, the first time he ever played in front of a crowd. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. So then after you went to university, then you were a teacher. How long did
I
you teach for?
graduated from Arizona State University, and I had to do some student teaching at Paradise Valley High School to finish my curriculum.
Oh, okay.
And then they offered me a job for the balance of the year, offered me a contract. And I said, I'll pick up some extra money. And I took a contract for the second part of the year.
So what subjects did you teach?
I was teaching industrial arts, of welding, wood shop, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty good fun.
Yeah? No one lost a finger?
I had a kid.
I took a job, I remember.
Named Guido Orlandi. This kid, we're in wood shop. I always had to watch these kids, but this guy I had to watch all the time. He's making a bowl on a lathe, gouging it out. He's got the safety glasses on, and all the dust is going over his safety glasses, and he decides to take them off because he couldn't see through them. That's the way he was thinking, I said, what the hell are you doing? He said, the glasses are getting all fogged up, so I took them off, and they're fogging up his eyes directly. I said, put on those safety glasses. He gets done with that bowl, and he decides to run her through the joiner after he takes it off the faceplate. And he's holding it like this, and I didn't see it, but he's running it into the the joiner, which is spinning with blades on it at 6,000 RPM. And it kicks out, and his hand goes he lost the end of one finger. And
What?
I said,
You're a great teacher.
This is on my watch. I said, I knew this guy was going to do something stupid like that.
But probably without you watching him, it would have been way worse. Possibly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I fixed him. I fixed him. He didn't give me any more trouble. You had to deal with all these situations, So
I couldn't imagine teaching high school.
I started.
It seemed like you figured it out.
I started a little company in my garage.
Oh yeah, you talked about that last time.
And
for
I didn't continue teaching because I was making more money in my garage.
Yeah.
On weekends and at night.
Yeah.
Supplying components for these industrial pollution control systems.
Right.
Back in the early 70s when they were monitoring smokestacks for pollutants and stuff like that. It was a growth industry, and I grew with that. That was pretty good. It was good.
So then you talked about that, and then you also talked about your first movie. So obviously, you must have really enjoyed that because that was your first of many.
Yeah.
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 I think the last time we talked, you had, I don't even know if you were done talking about, is it The Empire of the Sun? Is that the movie?
Empire of the Sun was the first movie I got paid to be on.
Yes. Yeah.
That was in Spain. I
Yeah.
I was flying corporate jets out of Scottsdale after I sold my company.
Yeah.
And I met a man from England named Jeff Hawke, who provided air crews for the movies that were made in Europe. And he had just landed Steven Spielberg's epic movie, World War II movie, Empire of the Sun. He was charged with providing the airplanes and the air crews for the flying scenes in it. And he invited me to come over to England and perhaps fly in there, or at least maybe bring an airplane down to Spain from England.
Well, I think the funniest part of that story is when you said that I guess you didn't submit a plan or something to someone, and then these important guys came looking for you, and you had to hide.
Yeah, when I got to Spain to the movie set, first I couldn't make a flight plan to the Steven Spielberg movie set, where I was going, because it wasn't in their database.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't a real airport, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a real airport.
Oh, okay.
You know, they wouldn't accept anything, so I said,
"Oh, so you tried, but you couldn't."
I tried, but in order to make a flight plan, I had to say that I was going to Cordoba, which was not far away. So when I didn't show up in Cordoba, and I tried to explain this to these people, they came out with a deuce and a half truck with the Spanish army, or the Basques or somebody did, but they all had automatic weapons and shit, and they had to hide me because they were looking for me. They wanted me. They wanted to talk to me. And they protected me. They hid me from the army that wanted to take me away.
So if your first movie was in Spain, where was your second movie? Was that in America?
Yeah.
Was it a huge, completely different, or did you feel like it was kind of similar, or what was that movie?
Well, it was a big feature film made at Universal Studios. It was called The Great Outdoors, and I had looked up an old stuntman friend of mine who told me to finish college and you don't want to get into this movie business 10 years before, and I did all the stuff he asked me to. And I looked him up, and I said, hey, I want to do some more movies. I just finished up a Spielberg movie in Spain. He says, you work for Steven Spielberg? What did you do? This and that, you know. He said, I'll come up with something for you, because he was going to get me into the Screen Actors Guild, Taft-Hartley into it, because I wasn't a SAG member in Europe.
So you have to be a SAG member to accept jobs?
He was a stunt coordinator, and anybody that worked for him, or he had things to do.
Okay.
He could get me into the union.
So you have to apply for it? And
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called Taft-Hartley. There was nobody else that could do the job in the union. There was a special way that he could insist that I join the union.
Okay.
And because I was tall, he had to run a giant bear suit. He said, I'll get you in, but don't complain about that stuff. And it had to be John Candy's stunt double, because he was my height.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't know you were his stunt double too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So on that movie, I did two things. I was his stunt double.
Now, if you were in the bear suit, I'm guessing it was hot. What was the temperature like outside? Was it during the summer?
It was winter, luckily. Yeah.
And where was it, in California?
Yeah, it was at Soundstage number 5, the biggest soundstage there.
Oh, okay.
And they had a great 1,500-pound grizzly bear that did the running scenes and stuff. But
you didn't have to run.
In the cabin and stuff, when you're close to the actors, they didn't want this bear close to the actors, so they used me. So, yeah.
So
it was a giant suit. It was
were you
a giant
in the suit when they shot you in the ass? Because I remember that part.
Yes.
Yeah, well.
I remember that.
Yeah, they had. It was. There was a lot of stuff that I did in there, but.
What was the worst scene that you're like, we have to do this again? What's a scene that just never ended?
Fighting in the cabin, going up the stairs.
Oh, that would suck.
I lost 6 pounds that day. I was in this bear suit doing all this physical stuff, and I had a special effects guy with me, and I'd get claustrophobic in there and overheating, and I'd have a signal for him, and he put a blower in the side of the the bear suit and cool me off.
Oh,
you know?
nice.
Yeah, they had a giant bear chair for me and everything.
A bear chair.
Yeah, the bear was 12 feet tall, and I had
Gosh.
They used the crane, right, to put the suit
Yeah.
on you?
We gotta watch that
they put
together.
a crane over.
Oh, yeah.
They
Here,
put the
right?
suit on me, and it was a
It's been a while.
magnesium backpack that I had on, and a nitrogen cylinder in here that ran the jaw. You know.
Oh gosh.
The jaw, and it would
Okay.
salivate,
Wow.
and I'd be getting groomed all the time by the special effects guy.
So if you had to go to the bathroom, I mean, you had to make sure you went before you went in the suit.
Or else bring a bottle into the bear suit.
Is this the nitrogen bottle or the?
No,
Nitrogen
it was a
bottle
big
one
deal
side,
getting in and
another-
out of that seat.
That's funny. All right, I don't want to have to edit this podcast too. So
You're gonna have to edit that one. Yeah.
I'm getting good at editing. Okay, so that was movie number 2.
Yeah.
And then was someone like, wow, you were so good in the bear suit? We want you to go in. Like, did you ever do another suit like that? Like, were
No.
you E.T. or something?
No, I didn't want to get stuck in a suit.
You didn't want to get
I
your
didn't
suit
want to
again?
get stuck running suits. You know. So
Yeah.
I thought John Candy's stunt double would be a good deal. You know, and then he died. I said that gravy train's over. Yeah.
Were you ever anyone else's stunt double?
Yeah.
You got hit over the head with a beer bottle by Nicole Kidman, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what movie is
I
that?
was making a movie up in Montana called Far and Away.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman,
Okay.
and I was working as a stuntman there. We recreated the great Oklahoma land rush of 1893,
Okay.
and also I had a little part as one of Kelly's thugs. It was a movie about bear fist fighting, you know, in the turn of the century, and in the camps. And I had a scene I had to do in Molly's Whorehouse with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, and they were. I had to beat Tom Cruise up. It was kind of neat, you know.
Oh, so you weren't a stunt double. You were like
No,
an extra.
I had a
Or you
little
had a
part
role.
as Kelly's
Okay.
thug #1 or something like
Okay.
some obscure job
Yeah.
like that, you know. So I
Okay,
they
so
had
pretend
this
Jeff
small-
is Tom Cruise. Just
They had this small room, and they had holes in the wall, and the cameras were shooting through it, you know.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And Tom Cruise asked the stunt coordinator, who's a friend of mine, he says, well, who is this guy, you know? And he gave me the Scientology stare down, you know? You know what I mean? And Walter said, oh, that's Steve Bolin, he's one of my guys, you know? So I had to throw him down on the bed and start beating him up. And the first time I threw him down, his prosthetic nose got moved over to the side, so they had to put his nose back on him. And then I body slammed him again. And Nicole Kidman's hitting me on the head with a rubber board, trying to get me off of her boyfriend.
Yeah.
You know, that was good fun.
That's awesome.
It was one of those cover days, they called it, when it was raining outside and we couldn't do the stuff outside. They did some interior scenes in an old abandoned A&P warehouse or something.
But like for that movie, I mean, you probably weren't on set very long, right? Like when you just go in, do your little scene, then you leave, or
No, I was working pretty steady.
were you doing other stuff?
Working
there?
other stuff.
Oh,
Working
okay.
with I was all these old buckboards they had in the land rush scenes they were all falling apart because they were old, and I would be working with special effects,
Oh,
bolting the seats on, fixing the buckboards so when they did the land rush scenes,
oh okay.
they wouldn't fall apart and people wouldn't fall off their seats.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept busy up there. It was
Cool.
Billings, Montana,
Yeah.
in the springtime and part of the summer. It was pretty good.
Must have been nice.
He
yeah.
was about 3 years old.
You were 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't really remember that.
Don't remember
Yeah.
it? No?
What's the first movie you remember?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump?
Yeah?
Yeah, the shrimp boat Jenny scene at night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to picture Forrest Gump. That must have been filmed everywhere. I feel like there's a lot of different...
There was a lot of filming, but
Yeah. Where were you mostly?
I was down in South Carolina,
Okay.
and we did a lot of the shrimp boat scenes.
Oh, cool.
And
Like the special effects?
yeah, I had just developed a jet-powered wind machine, the first one to be introduced to Hollywood, and they needed a hurricane out at sea. When the shrimp boat Jenny got caught out at sea, they needed a big storm, and we did it all in well, it took a couple nights of prep, but did the major scene of it getting stuck out there in one night with the jet engine blowing on it, with 700 gallons a minute of salt water going into the jet thrust,
Wow.
blasting on Gary Sinise and Tom Cruise. no, I mean
Oh, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks,
Yeah.
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 And
And how old were you there?
he was about 5,
Yeah, I guess,
5.
5 or
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
I just remember the shrimp boat, and then we went up and they built like a plywood box on top of the
Yeah, there were some cameras in
the
there.
house. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were looking, and you could where the angle was, where you could see like Gary Sinise head on. It was pretty cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. That was a fun.
And they had to warn me to keep my little son away from the edge of the water because of the alligators would grab him.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was down in the swamps of Georgia. We filmed at Fripp Island. We did some of the Vietnam scenes there.
Oh,
And I ran a machine gun nest there. I was a Viet Cong
wow.
machine gunner for a while.
Yeah.
I did work where I could,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And we did there were some scenes where there was big storms
yeah.
in Asia and fog banks out there. I looked at it for the first time in 20 years, and I saw some things that I did that I forgot that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh. Is it hard for you to just sit back and enjoy a movie?
yeah.
Because you
I
kind
can't.
of tweak it and
I can't
criticize it and like.
I can't get lost in the illusion of it because I know what happens.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Interesting.
So I can't enjoy them a lot.
Yeah. Do you read?
No,
No. I was thinking, what can you get lost in?
I don't know.
Is that why you fly? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Huh. Interesting. So then after Forrest Gump,
After
what
Forrest
was
Gump,
after that?
God, there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
I
Were
really-
all these just like
G.I.
back to back
Jane,
to
that
back,
was
or
pretty
did
close
you?
after that.
G.I. Jane. Oh, there was one. There was one we used the jet engine on called. Oh boy, that was a dark movie. I can't remember the name of that thing. But G.I. Jane was pretty good. Yeah, that
Yeah?
was fun down in the.
Where was that filmed?
They used the jet engines down in a Jacksonville, Florida, in an old sand quarry.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to replicate the SEAL team obstacle courses from California, the beach down there on the island, but they couldn't hire that place, so they made their own.
Oh, okay.
And there was an old crusty director, and he was all smoking cigars and yelling all the time and stuff. And
Yeah.
we had a good time on that one.
How old were you on that one?
Yeah, you were on that. I have pictures of you on
Yeah,
that one.
I feel like I was like 7 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that one more?
I just kind of showed up for, like a day or two, so I didn't.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. You weren't there the whole time.
No.
He was
Yeah.
the director of
Yeah.
G.I. Jane. I got a good story about him if I could remember that.
I'll Google his name.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen
Ridley
G.I. Jane.
Scott. Okay.
Oh, Ridley
listen.
Scott. Okay.
Ridley Scott was the director.
Was that with who was the actress in it? The main.
Demi Moore.
Oh,
Demi
right.
Moore,
Okay. Yeah.
So we're filming nights down there through this obstacle course with machine gun fire going and these recruits running through the thrust of the jet car and getting their legs blown out from under them. And Demi Moore's having a good time. She felt like Mary Poppins. She said. But there was a couple actors for a group of actors out of New York City. And they stopped the production. They told one of the producers, "Hey, not for nothing, but we didn't sign up to get blasted by no jet engine, you know." And you don't stop the production, you know.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott was furious. He said, "Well, these guys," the producer said, "Well, can you explain to these guys what's happening with this engine and how you've used it on other actors before?" And I had to do a whole presentation for the cast and crew right there. He stopped production. I said, "This engine, its thrust has been analyzed for MOX, NOx particulates. It's cleaner than the air you believe you're breathing in New York City." You know, they didn't like that too, you know. And I've used it on this actor, that actor, and this actor. And it's perfectly safe. They didn't like the smell of the exhaust. So Ridley Scott would disperse. It's the end of the briefing. Ridley Scott comes up to me with a cigar. He says, "Hey kid, you got anything left in that engine?" I said, yeah, but I don't want to hurt nobody or anything. He says, "Give it to him. Give it him all you got, though, the bastard." So I opened it up and nailed these New York actors. I blew them over, and they were full of dirt and dust and rocks and shit. It was good.
Before that, they're only getting 40% the rest.
Rocks. Oh my gosh.
That thing's gnarly too, man.
Yeah.
You ever tried to stand out there?
You can't stand it.
No.
It'll blow your legs out from under you.
Really?
Yeah,
It's fun.
You can't stand up in 150 miles an hour.
Oh yeah. Yes. I was like, I'll go and try that, and then he goes, whoop! There goes my feet.
Yeah.
Was that your only movie with Ridley Scott?
No, he liked the machines, and he had me on several projects with him on some commercials for some. They were Marlboro commercials, cigarette commercials, which aren't legal in this country, but they were for consumption in Europe and stuff like that.
So he was directing commercials?
He was doing commercials
for cigarettes in Europe?
He did.
That's so weird to me.
He did one of the most famous Super Bowl commercial ever made, 1984 Apple computers.
He did that one?
That's Ridley Scott.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And he did stuff like the first Alien, you know.
Oh,
This
yeah.
guy was a great director.
Yeah.
He was legendary.
So even on a commercial, like I can't picture like a famous like movie producer doing a commercial.
Well,
it seems like beneath that.
I was
That sounds
sitting
weird
up
to
on
say.
Hollywood Boulevard in an open air restaurant once, and him and his brother Tony, who did the first Top Gun, directed the first Top Gun.
Okay.
They were sitting at a table behind me, and I was overhearing them, and they were talking about a commercial they were going to do and how much they were going to charge for it. And I was eavesdropping on him a little bit, but he was right there, you know.
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, you know that villa on the Mediterranean that they want $1.7 million for?" He said, "I think that's how much we'll charge for this commercial." Really?
Boy.
No shit.
Wow.
That's what type of juice they had.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what type of pull they had.
Wow.
And
Huh.
and they got it. you know?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. They were quite a duo.
Yeah.
his brother wound up, he's deceased now. He jumped off the Vincent Thomas Bridge
Oh wow.
after he found out that he had cancer and stuff. It was a very sad end to him.
Yeah.
He's the one that did the first Top Gun.
Yeah. Wait, Ridley Scott?
Tony Scott.
Tony
Oh,
Scott.
Tony Scott, his brother. Okay,
Tony,
okay.
yeah.
Oh wow. So then that was your first movie with him though, was G.I. Jane.
Yes, that was. Yeah, that was
And then after
first.
G.I. Jane, what'd you do?
Oh, geez, I got a list someplace.
You probably,
I
but like
should
you
get a list,
probably
but there's
turned. Did you turn like so much stuff down?
some stuff I did. Yeah.
Was it? What was the worst thing like you ever? What did you
Tell about
ever?
the one you turned down with what they wanted you to do
Oh geez, let's hear this. Should I pause the
Oh.
recording?
for Jackass.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did
yeah.
Jackass?
No, he did it. That's when he turned down.
No,
The original, the first one?
Jackass. Well, this company called me and they're asking me, can I do this and that, and that. After 4 times on the phone, and they're being very evasive as who they are and what they want, you
Yeah.
know. And it turns out it was the Jackass the movie, and they wanted to have my jet engine there blasting full blast, and they wanted to have wee men, the little deploying a parachute in front of the goddamn jet engine. And I could have killed the little buzzard. You know? I said, you know, I've done 30 films. I haven't hurt anybody, and I don't want to be known for this. You know, I told them I appreciate and think your stuff is funny and everything, but I'm going to pass on it. You know.
I really wanted you to do that one.
yeah.
That's the funniest shit.
I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah. Be about
I know
that.
it said I turned down Jackass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's okay. That was all right.
Are there any that you said yes to that you really wish you would have said no to?
Oh, some of the nights you're working long and hard, and you wish you weren't there.
Yeah, like the shooting goes on way longer than expected, or
No, but none of them.
just a bad setup.
Never.
or-
It was never. There was always the end. The end of the shoot. It was never months and months. They were always weeks.
Oh, okay.
You were always there for weeks.
Yeah.
We got pretty seasick on Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was being out on the water.
Where were those filmed?
Grand Bahama Island,
Where's that?
mostly, in the Bahamas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what about Outbreak? That was a cool one.
Outbreak.
What's Outbreak about?
Yeah.
It was
Like a germ.
Dustin
like a
Hoffman,
virus?
yeah.
Okay.
It
Dustin
was about a
Hoffman movie.
virus that, like,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a real contemporary.
yeah, it was actually but it was
It was about a pandemic and,
Yeah.
and a
Oh, really?
monkeypox outbreak or something.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
yeah.
Yeah. How old were you for that one?
Oh, I don't,
Teenager? Or?
no.
Oh.
I made an appliance for the jet engine that
remember.
made it smoke and make copious amounts of smoke. It just billows out, you know.
Yeah.
So they had me out to Long Beach, and they needed a scene where this 600-foot freighter, the Lane Victory, it was an old World War II Liberty ship, was halfway in a fog bank and halfway out of a fog bank.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is, a clear day in L.A., you know, and we're permitted to film off Long Beach. So I had to make a fog bank cover half of the ship. They
Yeah, the
had
helicopter comes in and
and
finds
a
the
helicopter would come in and
Mm.
land, drop off Dustin Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
So we're out there, and I'm on a barge with a tugboat behind me and 17 barrels of smoke oil, and we're early morning, first take, first try. I go and I give it about. I started the jet engine up, and I gave it about 30-second blast of the smoke oil, the smoke juice, into the 800-degree turbine area, and it just billows out. It grows like a cumulus cloud in front of you. It's mesmerizing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this 30-second blast of hot gases and fog, it drifted over the boat and pretty soon the back end of the boat was exposed. Here comes the helicopter, and they got the shot. First thing, they had a week allocated to do this. Got the shot in the first hour of filming.
Wow.
And after that, we were just burning smoke oil and they were doing chases through the fog bank and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for the first 2 days, all the fog was going out to Catalina Island,
Yeah.
And then on the last day, we had an onshore breeze, and we drifted down a little bit farther than our permit was, and all the smoke was going into inland.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, police boats coming out, going, shut that thing off. I said, I can't listen to you. You go talk to the producers over in that ship there, They said, shut that thing off. Our switchboards are lit up. You closed down the coast highway.
Highway?
Yeah. Highway 101.
Highway.
Closed down the Pacific Coast Highway. For God's sake, shut it off.
In a California EPA
So you shut it off.
Central.
Yeah, I didn't shut it off. They told me to shut it off. I'm working for those guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your only run-in with the law?
Can you tell me about
Lisa?
your commercial you did in Canada?
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to run from the Canadian
That was a
government?
T-Row pirate.
Wait, he wants to go up and get Nanaimo bars, though. So I don't know if we
those
should
things
tell.
are- No,
I
I might
didn't-
not be able to tell the story.
didn't-
He wants to cross the border.
no, we'll just send you up.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to get out of Canada this time.
Really?
Oh,
And how long
yeah.
ago was this?
Oh, maybe 10 years ago. It was
Okay.
a T-Row Price commercial.
Were you there too?
And they had a big sailboat, and the storyline was that it was navigating through treacherous waters in low visibility, and
Like a treacherous financial situation,
Yeah.
right?
And this is for what product?
T-Row Price
is
is
an
a financial...
Oh, okay. Okay.
investment house. So again, barges full of smoke oil and
Yeah.
a tugboat, and we're running, and there's Howe Sound. It's north of Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I'm putting out a lot of smoke, and this Howe Sound is 32 miles long. And at the end of the weekend, I fogged in Howe Sound with all this smoke oil.
You had your own weather system.
And this stuff is going by all the fir trees and stuff, And I don't know what it's going to do to those fir trees,
Gosh.
And the news helicopters start hovering over me, and my name is on the side of the jet engine. And if I ever make it across the border, I'll be so lucky. They came out. They wanted a product safety sheet on it, and I told them, this is a vegetable grade mineral oil, So I sent them over to the coordinator. You know who that was?
Oh, yeah, I do, actually.
And we had the product safety sheet, and they kind of talked their way out of it,
Yeah.
But I didn't want to go back. I could see all those fir trees being browned by next season.
Fogged in the whole sound.
I fogged in Howe Sound, 32 miles. That was pretty powerful.
There's people that probably tell that story 10 years ago. So wait, you did all these movies around the country. How did you sort of discover this area? What brought you up here?
Up here?
Did you do a movie up here? And you were
No.
oh, this is beautiful, or?
No, Vancouver did have some runaway productions and stuff. They frowned on us going up there,
Why is that?
because it was taking productions away from Hollywood. you
Oh,
know.
okay, yeah,
They were offering huge tax incentives and stuff.
yeah,
And I did do one or two up there.
yeah.
But
Did you do anything in Oregon?
no, I don't think I would.
No.
I don't think I worked in Oregon.
I can only think of the Goonies. I can't think of any other movie that was filmed in Oregon. I'm
Yeah.
sure there was a ton, but yeah.
All the major studios in Hollywood. Oh, down in Mexico, south of Rosarita, in the
Fox Studios.
Fox Studios, where they built a tank they called it.
Yeah.
where they sunk the Titanic. And,
Yeah?
Yeah.
In Mexico?
Cameron did the great Titanic movie there. And we did a movie called Masters and Commander, Far Side of the World. Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Big production.
That one, yeah.
Big production.
That was a cool movie.
We made one of the best storms ever made in Hollywood, they say.
Really?
Yeah, a big 150-foot sailing ship going around Cape Horn.
Wow.
We had to create the storm for it. We
Yeah.
had dump tanks dumping tens of thousands of gallons, and we had hydraulic. This whole ship was on hydraulics that
Wow.
we had on laptops to pitch and roll. And I had jet engines on both ends of the ship shooting up in the air with 700 gallons a minute of salt water going into them, just raining down. All the rigging had rain falling from it. And I made my own weather system there. It was, we put so much water in and took it so far aloft that we made a cumulus cloud that went inland over the mountains. It was pretty cool. I made my own clouds.
Not many people can make their own weather system.
Yeah. That was tough duty, though. We were out on the water getting sunburnt. And,
How long was the shoot for? Or how long were you out there
we were
for?
there for weeks and weeks and
Yeah.
stuff. It was a long
You
time.
were there over a month.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
down there a long time doing the storm scenes and that.
Yeah.
They came out good, though. If you look at those, the people in the know said that that's probably the best storm at sea they've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, huge waves and the boat pitching up and down, and the sails full, and rain all over the place on a bright sunny day. And,
Yeah.
to do all of that in that time, it was pretty amazing.
Huh. That's cool.
Tens of thousands of pounds of steel putting into the gimbal that this big ship was on.
Yeah.
It was 150 feet tall, and the jet engines would reach up and get water to the top of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was very challenging, very hard work. But
Yeah.
So what do you
They
think
work
of
well.
CGI, Steve?
Yeah.
Even modern day now, they're going back, right?
Yeah,
CGI
yeah.
isn't good enough.
Some of the old directors and some of the new directors are liking the real thing,
Oh.
and some of the audiences are requiring it now too. It's coming around.
It's kind of like how people are going back to vinyl.
They're coming around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Coming back around to practical special effects.
Nice.
Which is kind of neat.
You're gonna have a second career, Steve.
Not me. I'm done.
What was the last movie you worked on, or a job?
The last one was about 3 years ago. It was called Tenet.
Hmm.
It was we crashed a 740.
Was that 3 years ago already?
3 years ago already.
It was
Or
during the
right at the start of
pandemic.
COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And where was that?
It was a huge
California?
movie. It was going to be a blockbuster summer movie until the pandemic hit.
Did it get released?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it
Tenet.
did, but
Who-
slowly. And
Okay.
Yeah, and
Who were some big names?
most theaters weren't open then. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it was a financial disaster, I'm sure, for them.
Hmm.
But it was a big scene where a jumbo jet, a 747, was hijacked and crashed into a terminal building, or taxied into a terminal building.
Mm.
And one of the engines, the number 2 engine, got ripped off after it hit something, and it was flopping around, and they put my jet engine under there, and we were blowing the legs out from under the rescue workers that were coming in, and there was pyro going off, and it was pretty fun. Late night work.
Yeah.
Famous directors.
So did you finish all your work before, was it like March 2020? Before all the stuff started shutting down? Did you finish
Pandemic
your
stuff.
work?
Yeah, I finished all
Yeah.
my work, and then it was.
it was right before then, right?
It had to get into post-production, and then they're going, how are we going to release this thing? That
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
theaters
they
were
couldn't.
open.
None of the theaters were
So
open.
you've done all the work.
They
and
did all
you
the work.
can't release anything. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
It was fun. I took Wiley on that one. It's his first movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. He picked up all the jargon right away, you know.
Now I feel like
He
a
was
lot.
a one-show wonder.
And a lot of the movies that you're talking about are like to do with storms and boats and all that. Did you ever do any with like planes?
I did a lot of atmospheric effects towards the end.
Okay.
Because I built those jet engines and
Yeah.
kept them working. But I flew in Empire of the Sun. I flew the Japanese Zeros, which were
But nothing
really
in between though?
AT-6s. There wasn't enough airplane movies to keep me going.
Oh, okay.
That's why I had to do stunts and special effects.
You would have done them if they were there.
Yeah, I tried. I coordinated some aerial commercials. I remember doing one at Camp Pendleton for the recruiting for the Marines, and they were there was an LZ they had, and we were doing atmosphere around the perimeter, and I hired a bunch of guys to run smoke machines, Jeebas and stuff like this, and they had a recruit repelling out of one of those twin rotor helicopters. What are they called, Preston?
The Chinook?
Chinooks, yeah. This guy comes down the rope like crazy, and at the last minute he looks down and his gun is pointing down, and the butt of the gun hits the ground, his legs collapsed, and it knocked all his teeth out.
Knocked those teeth out.
Yeah, so we had to stop filming.
Oh man.
I got an extra day out of it because of that guy. He knocked his head off, almost knocked his head off. You'd think they would have trained him right, you know. But the thing is, just like in stunt work, the reason why the stunt coordinators work with the same core of people was because when the cameras are rolling, people do funny things.
Really?
Yes, and you could ask any stunt coordinator. That's
You know
why they
what?
use the same guys.
When Cops started getting the popular, the
Yeah.
show Cops,
Yeah.
I was working at the street, and we had cops riding with us a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like the show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, filming it, and like you said, people would do. These are paid professional cops. They would do shit.
Just because
You
it's
never
camera
learn.
zero.
You never do stuff like that. What are you doing?
You could take a
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
you could take a stuntman that was raw, new guy,
Yeah.
trying to be a stuntman, rehearse him 15 times, do this and this, and roll the cameras, and he'll do something different.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He'll do something different. He'll
Never do
fall the
stuff
wrong
like
way.
that. Why are you
Yeah.
doing that
You
right
want the
now?
seasoned people who
So
you know.
they're seasoned people.
Yeah.
Stay with a stunt coordinator. They can know them. They can count on them. They know that they're not going to do anything hinky
Yeah.
because it happens all the time. It's a phenomena. They can't explain it.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
No, you said that guy got injured. He knocked all his teeth out.
yeah,
Have you ever got injured on a set?
yeah.
Did you cause a production delay?
No, I didn't cause production. I was down in Mexico though on that job, and I had to refuel all the jets before the night was gone, and I had this guy working for me, running the other jet, and he'd just go home, and I was so mad. I started grabbing barrels of fuel, you know, they're 400 pounds, and putting them on the boat, putting them out to the jets, and I put one across my stomach here, and I got a giant hernia. This big ball came out of my stomach,
Oh my
and it
god.
hurt, yeah. And I got hurt there. They took
Yeah.
me to an ambulance. I said, "Don't take me to a Mexican hospital." So they took me across the border, and there was nothing they could do right away. So I went back the next day, and they had a softball, and I put a softball by the big lump that was hanging
Yeah.
out, and I had them wrap duct tape around me to keep it in for the day. And I went to work the next day.
Wow.
I had an operation about a month after, about a week after that. It was a
Okay.
bad one.
Were you in pain that whole week?
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. I couldn't do a lot
You're
of
probably
lifting.
still in pain to this day from stuff you had to do. Right?
I don't know if I get hurt any place else. Oh, I jumped off a landing craft once after filming all night down in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
It was higher than I thought.
Oh no.
Oh, my legs went the wrong way. It wasn't good.
Oh man.
That's just normal stuff, though.
Yeah.
I never hurt anybody with the machines or doing stunts. I never got anybody hurt.
That's good.
That
Is
was
that
good.
rare? Is that
Yeah, it's
stuff just happens
guys.
as much as
Yeah,
you
guys
prepare?
have gotten really hurt.
Yeah.
I know a guy that was doing a fall from a skyscraper with one of those derailing machines, you know, going like this back down after he got shot. And the derailing machine got a back snag in it. It stopped all of a sudden, broke the guy in half.
Oh my
Broke
gosh.
his back in half.
Oh. Ouch.
I'd always have to give a safety briefing before I put anybody in front of these things, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And took precautions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that documentary Free Solo?
No, what's
I
that?
saw it.
The guy climbs El Cap at Yosemite.
Oh, really?
Free solo, no ropes.
Oh my God.
Just climbs it. Which is crazy, but he is so incredibly prepared. Like, that's all he thinks and dreams. He knows every single hold.
Yeah, he mentally goes
Imagine the
over
strength in
every
his hands.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentally, time and time again, over every move, every hand, every foot where he's going to put
So
it.
people they say, well, it's very risky. He's like, actually, it's super low risk because I'm studying this so much. It's high consequence.
Right.
But to me, it's not risky.
The preparation is...
So that was so interesting. I never thought about that before. I mean, there's no more higher consequence than falling, right?
Yeah.
From El
Oh,
Cap.
all the
Like,
preparation,
you're
yeah.
dead instantly, right? So, yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating film, for sure. Yeah.
All right. I should write down all the movies that I did.
You should.
I should.
Yeah.
Jen updated your IMDb thing.
Did she?
Yeah.
Good, because, you know, I asked her to do that because when you had your son,
Yeah.
my grandson,
Yeah.
I'd like to let him know that his grandfather did this, you know?
Yeah. So then next time we meet, I'll have a list of your movies, and I'll just say the movie name, and then you say the first word that comes to your mind.
Oh. I'll have a story about all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the next one we have to do is when Jill's here.
Yeah.
I miss Jill. Maybe you guys...
after a couple Bloody Marys.
Well, no, I was going to say, you guys will drink and cook, and then we'll sit back and enjoy that. And
Yeah,
then...
when I drank Greyhounds one night, vodka and grapefruit juice,
Yeah.
and we cooked like crazy and laughed.
Yeah, she's jealous. She can't be here now.
I know. I want to text her, but I don't.
Oh,
She's probably
it's
sad we're
okay.
talking about
It's
it.
okay.